Well, good morning. It's just after 5:30 in the morning. Little miss here has decided to start her day, so I guess we're gonna go out and do chores together. So I just gotta get all the pig feed and chicken feed together, and it's crazy windy out there again today, you know, like the wind's coming hard out of the south. Like it's warm because it's coming out of the south, but it's just like 500 miles an hour. So thanks for that, Mother Nature. Good job. So earlier this morning, I actually moved that water trailer over from the pig pen to the garden. The water trailer, the whole concept behind the water trailer is that it makes it easier for us to pack water. We don't have to pack it as far. But even though it's, what is that, like 75 yards, it's still a pain in the backside. And if it's mobile, why not just move the trailer right beside the garden? So that's what I did. It makes it a heck of a lot easier. You can just string the hose right out in their bowl, and they got all the water they could possibly need. So it's so windy out here. I got my new chore coat on, and I gotta admit, I prefer my old chore coat. This one just, you know, it just feels different. I don't know. I'll get used to it, I'm sure, but I guess that's how you know you got it made, is you can have a brand new coat and still complain about it. Overprivileged, I guess. So the other thing I kind of a question for everybody that's watching is about yesterday's bread. So some areas will have what's called a loop program. So it's I guess the principle is livestock over landfill. So you can take all your old bread like you've got from yesterday that you know is still good, but it's not saleable because it's end of day. And instead of just, you know, tossing it in the dumpster and taking it out to landfill and feeding seagulls and ravens and all, you know, all these, you know, pest type creatures, you can take and feed this to your chickens and your pigs and whatnot, and as a viable food source. Now, there might be some arguments over GMO, non-GMO, and what goes into bleached or unbleached flour and whatnot. But I mean, if you're looking, you know, you might have an equal concern over carbon footprint, and if you can reduce the impact of your community by, you know, reducing food wastage, and then converting that food wastage now into other alternate viable food options in the way of chicken and pork and eggs, maybe, you know, that's a pretty good solution. So locally here, we don't have a program. There is one in Dawson Creek, which isn't too far away. So pretty excited about that there is something nearby, but it'd be really great if it came to our community. So if you have a program like that in your community and you're not using it, take a look. You know, I think you'd be surprised at what's maybe available, how much stuff actually gets thrown out of your local grocery store. So a fellow homesteader that I work with today was actually asking me about our chicken coop and how do we heat it in the wintertime. Well, short story is we don't. In previous years, we had a number of these heat lamps set up, and then one day we got a $400 power bill, and that was not good. So the purpose of the heat lamps is to try and keep the water defrosted, because, you know, here in northern Alberta we can get some days where it's minus 35 to minus 40 degrees Celsius. So that's pretty chilly, right? What we found though is a heated water, just like a fount, right, with a heated element in the bottom, worked a lot better. Obviously reduced the power requirements, and then there was no like light interruptions placing stress on the chickens, because running the heat lamps created unnecessary light in the coop, and then that stressed them out. They stopped laying. It wasn't good. So we got this one in here. We just kind of leave this one here. So on certain days it's super cold, we can leave it there, and it keeps the roosting bunks kind of warm, so when they lay eggs, if we're not there within the first couple hours, at least they don't freeze and crack. And then we shut this off at night. But yeah, that's really all we have to do for winter. The walls, these are all insulated. The roof, actually the roof, if you can see that, is insulated. This is sheep's wool from shearing our own sheep. And you can see there's the blue in there. That's just the bag. So when we bag the wool, it's just a blue garbage bag. So we just stuff the wool in the bag and everything. So my next project, as you guys know, actually, I'm a bit of a fan of regenerative agriculture, and especially like geography-wise, where we're at on the side of a hill, south-facing aspect, gets a lot of sun, gets a lot of wind, well, it doesn't get a ton of rain, but the rain that does get shears off and strips away a lot of nutrients. And so here on the hillside, we're in the shop right now, but if you're looking out the west and the south side of the shop to go out there, you'll see it's a kind of a mix of clay and sandy soil, and the grass is really, really scrubby. So we ran sheep over in what we call the nightclub pasture, which was out to the northwest of the shop, and worked for process of regeneration. That paddock is doing fantastic now, and so it's now in a rest phase, and we've got them directly south of the shop. And so what I'm going to do, I'll step outside. I'm going to throw the sound on mute because it is super, super windy. But I'm just going to pan across the soil there, and you can see, you know, I guess how poor the soil conditions are, how poor the plant life is doing. And then, I don't know, next summer sometime, we'll revisit this, and you can see exactly how, by adding organic material, by adding good grazing practices of sheep, how, you know, we're going to build like a super pasture out of this little 1 acre paddock. So you saw how poor and scrubby that is, and how we're going to manage this, because the sheep are going to eat more than they can lay down in manure to regenerate this pasture. So especially given the growing conditions, right? There's no way that grass can keep up to what those sheep are going to eat. So I'm going to supplement. Now, not only supplement their feed, but I'm going to supplement the secondary organic material. So we have a massive compost pile out in the field, and I'm going to bring tractor bucket loads over the course of winter and pile up in here and spread it out in the field. And then I'm also going to supplement with a little bit of hay and grain so they're not overgrazing during the fall here. And then they can lay down more manure, or I guess a biomass amount in excess of what they're removing in biomass by way of grazing. And so what you should see is by mid to late summer next year, this pasture back there is going to be rich and lush, and we should see a lot less, I guess, effects of the wind and the rain and the sun on that little paddock, and you should see a vastly improved soil condition over there. All right, so the last thing we got to do tonight is the chicken tractor that's over here. I'm going to move it across the way just to get some more grass for these chicks. I intended to leave them there for like 5 to 7 days. I think it's been closer to 10 days now. So they've eaten as much of that grass as they possibly can, and it's time to get them onto some fresh stuff. So if you remember 10 days ago, you can see where the square is, right? But 10 days ago, they had this thing stripped right down almost to the soil. And look how well that grass is recovered. And so when it grows back next year, there's going to probably be a dark green square there from all the nitrogen that's been laid down with this chicken manure. And that's what I love about this chicken tractor is, it reduces your inputs in having to mow the grass all the time, but it also lays down a fertilizer. So it improves your soil condition while helping to control the grass. So I'm probably going to do a whole nother video on this one in regards to the grass and lawn care and stuff like that, and what you can do with chickens. I'm pretty passionate about what chickens can do for your grass, especially since grass, well, I guess the concept of the well manicured lawn is like the biggest scam out there. Honestly, like you plant a noxious weed and then you've got to water it and you got to trim it and you got to maintain it and do all this stuff, and it gives you absolutely nothing back in return but work, right? Whereas if you were to take that space and you could use it to raise livestock on it, or you could use it remove the grass altogether and put a garden in there, and you could grow so much food. But no, everybody wants to have work in their front yard or even in their backyard. Doesn't make sense to me. Why not have something that gives you something back in return? Yeah, so that's where they were 10 days ago, and that's where we just moved them off of Then we moved them over to here now, so they'll be able to enjoy that for probably another week, and then we'll just keep moving them forward. They can enjoy all that lush grass until things freeze. See, they're just as happy as can be in here now. They're just loving all this fresh grass. It's like an all-you-can-eat dessert buffet. Anyways, that's enough chores for this guy for one night, so I'm gonna go inside, get myself a cup of tea. I hope you have a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.